India, a land of diverse cultures and rich history, had endured centuries of foreign rule. From the Mughals to the British, the yearning for self-determination burned bright. The 19th century saw various uprisings, reflecting the growing desire for independence. The First War of Independence in 1857, though unsuccessful, sowed the seeds of resistance. Leaders emerged, voices rose, and the dream of a free India gained momentum. The struggle for freedom was not just about political power. It was about reclaiming dignity, preserving cultural identity, and establishing a just society. The British Raj, with its policies of economic exploitation and social discrimination, had left deep scars on the Indian psyche. The stage was set for a leader who could unite the masses and lead them towards the dawn of independence. In this tumultuous era, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, a seemingly ordinary man, emerged as an extraordinary leader. Born in 1869 in Porbandar, Gujarat, he would later be revered as the Mahatma, meaning great soul. Gandhi's life and teachings became synonymous with non-violent resistance, transforming India's fight for freedom and inspiring generations worldwide. Gandhi's greatness lay not in military prowess or political cunning, but in his unwavering belief in the power of truth, love, and non-violence. He showed the world that true strength resided not in physical might, but in the courage of one's convictions. His life became a testament to the idea that even the most formidable empires could be challenged by the indomitable spirit of a people united by a common cause. Gandhi's early life was marked by both privilege and tradition. Born on October 2, 1869 in Porbandar, a coastal town in present-day Gujarat, India, he was the youngest of 4 children. His father, Karamchand Gandhi, served as the chief minister of Porbandar, and his mother, Putlibai, was a deeply religious woman who greatly influenced young Gandhi's upbringing. Born into a devout Hindu family, he was deeply influenced by the principles of non-violence, truthfulness, and vegetarianism. These values were not just abstract concepts, but were practiced daily in his household. His mother, in particular, was a strong advocate of fasting and prayer, which left a lasting impression on him. These values, instilled in his formative years, would later form the bedrock of his philosophy. As a child, Gandhi was an average student, but he was deeply curious and observant. He attended a local school in Rajkot, where he learned the basics of arithmetic, history, and geography. However, it was the moral lessons from his family that truly shaped his character. His education, both in India and England, exposed him to Western ideas and legal systems, shaping his worldview and equipping him with the tools to challenge injustice. At the age of 19, Gandhi travelled to London to study law at University College London. This was a significant turning point in his life, as it was his first exposure to Western culture and ideas. Gandhi's experiences in London as a law student were particularly transformative. He was initially overwhelmed by the cultural differences and struggled to fit in. However, he soon found solace in the city's libraries and intellectual circles, where he began to explore various philosophical and political ideas. He encountered racism and discrimination firsthand, experiences that ignited within him a passion for social justice. These encounters were eye-opening and made him acutely aware of the social inequalities that existed not just in India, but around the world. It was during this time that he began to question the status quo and think about ways to bring about social change. It was during this period that he delved into the works of thinkers like Leo Tolstoy and Henry David Thoreau, whose ideas on civil disobedience and the power of love resonated deeply with his own evolving beliefs. These readings were not just academic exercises, they were transformative experiences that helped him develop his own philosophy of non-violent resistance. Gandhi's time in London was a crucible in which the seeds of his future activism were sown, setting the stage for his eventual role as a leader in the struggle for Indian independence. Section 4. The Crucible of South Africa, Forging Satyagraha. In 1893, a young and ambitious Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi travelled to South Africa to practice law. Little did he know that this journey would become a pivotal chapter in his life, shaping his future endeavours and philosophies. Upon his arrival, Gandhi was confronted with the harsh realities of racial discrimination. The systemic injustice against Indians and other non-white communities ignited a deep sense of moral outrage within him. He witnessed firsthand the indignities and brutalities inflicted upon his fellow countrymen, which stirred his conscience and sense of justice. The turning point in Gandhi's South African sojourn came in 1906. The Transvaal government passed a draconian law requiring all Indians to register and be fingerprinted, a blatant act of racial profiling and control. This law was not just an administrative measure, it was a direct assault on the dignity and rights of the Indian community. Outraged by this injustice, Gandhi decided to take a stand. He organized a campaign of civil disobedience, urging his fellow Indians to refuse to comply with the oppressive law. This marked the birth of satyagraha, a term he coined to describe his philosophy of non-violent resistance. Satyagraha, meaning truth force or soul force, was a revolutionary concept that advocated for resisting unjust laws through peaceful means. The essence of satyagraha lay in its moral and ethical foundation. It was not merely a strategy for political struggle, but a way of life. Gandhi believed that true power did not come from inflicting suffering on others, but from enduring suffering with courage and dignity. He taught that by embracing non-violence and truth, one could awaken the conscience of the oppressor and bring about a change of heart. Gandhi's commitment to satyagraha was tested repeatedly in South Africa. He faced arrests, beatings, and numerous hardships, but he remained steadfast in his resolve. His ability to endure suffering without retaliation inspired many and drew international attention to the plight of Indians in South Africa. Through his relentless efforts, Gandhi demonstrated that non-violent resistance was not a sign of weakness, but a powerful tool for social and political change. He argued that satyagraha could transform the oppressor by appealing to their sense of justice and humanity. This philosophy would later become the cornerstone of his struggle for India's independence. Gandhi's struggles in South Africa served as a crucible for his ideas. It was here that he honed his tactics, refined his philosophy, and proved the potency of non-violent resistance. The lessons he learned and the strategies he developed would later be instrumental in his fight against British colonial rule in India, making satyagraha a timeless and universal principle for justice and human dignity. Section 5. Return to India, a nation awakens. Gandhi returned to India in 1915, a hero to many for his courageous stand against racial discrimination in South Africa. His time in South Africa had not only shaped his philosophy of non-violent resistance, but also honed his skills as a leader and organizer. The experiences and struggles he faced there were instrumental in preparing him for the monumental task that lay ahead in India. Upon his return, he was greeted with immense respect and admiration, seen as a beacon of hope for a nation under colonial rule. He quickly emerged as a leader of the Indian National Congress, joining forces with other prominent figures like Jawaharlal Nehru and Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel in the fight for independence. The Indian National Congress, which had been founded in 1885, was the principal leader of the Indian independence movement. Gandhi's involvement brought a new vigor and direction to the Congress. His ability to connect with the common people and his unwavering commitment to non-violence set him apart from other leaders. Together they strategized and planned various movements that would challenge British authority and galvanize the Indian populace. Gandhi's satyagraha movement resonated deeply with the Indian masses, who saw in him a leader who understood their plight and offered a path to freedom that aligned with their conscience. Satyagraha, which means truth force or soul force, was a method of non-violent resistance that sought to bring about social and political change through peaceful means. Gandhi believed that true resistance was not about inflicting harm on the oppressor, but about enduring suffering with dignity and courage. This philosophy struck a chord with millions of Indians who had long been subjected to injustice and exploitation. Gandhi's leadership transformed the Indian independence movement. His emphasis on non-violence and civil disobedience provided a moral high ground that garnered international support and sympathy. The world watched in awe as a subjugated nation rose up against a mighty empire, not with weapons, but with the power of truth and non-violence. Gandhi's approach also helped to unify the diverse and fragmented Indian society, bringing together people from different regions, religions, and social strata in a common cause. He mobilized millions of Indians from all walks of life, peasants, workers, intellectuals, and women, uniting them under the banner of non-violent resistance. The participation of women in the movement was particularly significant as it challenged traditional gender roles, and empowered them to take an active role in the struggle for freedom. Gandhi's inclusive approach ensured that the movement was not just a political struggle, but a social revolution that aimed to transform Indian society from within. His campaigns, including the non-cooperation movement of 1920 to 22 and the civil disobedience movement of 1930 to 34, shook the foundations of British rule in India. The non-cooperation movement called for Indians to withdraw their support from British institutions and boycott British goods, while the civil disobedience movement involved the deliberate and peaceful violation of British laws. These movements not only disrupted the functioning of the colonial administration, but also demonstrated the resolve and unity of the Indian people. The British authorities were often taken aback by the scale and intensity of these protests, which were marked by their disciplined and non-violent nature. Gandhi's message of Swaraj, or self-rule, ignited the imagination of a nation yearning for freedom, inspiring them to make sacrifices and stand up for their rights. Swaraj was not just about political independence, but also about self-reliance and self-respect. Gandhi envisioned a free India where people lived in harmony with each other and with nature, where there was no exploitation or oppression, and where everyone had the opportunity to lead a dignified life. His vision of Swaraj continues to inspire and guide movements for justice and equality around the world.